First of all, unless you are continuing your work on the notebook document from the previous video, please make sure to import Pandas as PD. From now on, we will assume that you have executed this cell on your own at the beginning of your work when we need Pandas. So we'll try to avoid executing this line of code every time. Please confirm that you have executed the cell in this session, or simply run it again, just to make sure. You know that the series object is basically a single column data, or a set of values that correspond to a single variable, right? That's why we can actually create a series object from a list. To do that, we execute the following code cell to create a list with 4 string values. These will be the letters A, B, C, and D. And the list will be called products. We can check the type of the products object by writing type open parentheses products, and then close the parentheses. The output we obtain after we execute this cell is list, just as we expected. All right. Next, let's say that we want to turn this list into a series and store it in a new variable called product categories. To do this, we will write product underscore categories equals, and then refer to the series method from the Pandas library by using the convention PD, and typing .series right after that. At this moment, we need to open parentheses and designate the object we want to create a series from. So we can proceed by typing products. The closing parenthesis is already there. Therefore, as we execute this cell, we will do our job to create a series called product categories. All right, let's see if we work correctly by checking what's in this variable now. We see that the 4 letters from the products list have been organized into a column. That's exactly what we expected from a series object, didn't we? There are 2 more important pieces of information that can be obtained from this output. One of them is related to the set of values that has been displayed to the left of the letters. These numbers represent what is called the index of the series. You know that in programming, we start counting from 0. That's why we have the numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3 displayed there, to give us a better idea of or indicate how the elements of our series object have been ordered. In addition, we can see information about the type of data we have stored in this series. In the version of Pandas that has been used for the recording of this lecture, object is the default data type assigned to data which is not numeric. Since we have text data only, object is exactly the type to be assigned. Therefore, here is the information that is being stored in a series object: an index, the data, and the type of the data. To be proficient in using Pandas, you need to study more about the index and the data type in a series. That's why we will take a closer look at these tools later in the section. For now, please focus on the data stored in the series and the series object as a whole. In this regard, we can check the type product categories by writing type open parentheses PR. Then we can help ourselves by pressing the Tab button, selecting product categories from the drop-down list, and pressing Enter. As we execute this cell, we get a message which says that we are having a Pandas series. An alternative way to obtain the same output would be to apply the type function to pd.series open parentheses products closing parenthesis. You see? To practice using series more, let's show that we can have numeric data in such an object. We can store 4 integer values from a list in a series by placing the list itself within the parentheses here. We'll store the data in a variable called daily rates dollars. Next, after we've run this cell, we will have obtained what we would expect. The values from the list ordered in a column, an index with the numbers from 0 to 3, and an indication that the data we have is of the integer type. Good. Another way to display these values is to use the print function with an argument daily rates dollars. The obtained output is identical. Okay, finally, you remember that the Pandas series object corresponds to the one-dimensional NumPy array structure, right? This means that we can create a new series by using a NumPy array. So let's see how this can actually be done. First, we have to import NumPy. Of course, as we are doing that, we will use the conventional community alias np. Then, we will create an array containing the integers 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, and we'll store it in a variable called array A. As we execute this cell, we obtain an output specifically indicating that we're having an ND array. We can further prove this is the case with the help of the type function and passing array A as an argument. At this stage of our work, we can store these 5 integer values into an object we'll call series A by executing the following code cell. By observing its output, we can infer that the data values are the same as the ones we had in array A. However, this time, they have been organized vertically into a series, which can be understood from the following: the index values that appear on the left of the data values, and the indication that the data type of the values is integer. As a reminder, we can execute the print function with an argument series A to obtain the same output. Of course, we can also confirm that the newly created object is a series by executing type, open parentheses, series A, closing parenthesis. Great! To conclude, there are 2 key takeaways from this lecture. The first one is that the Pandas series object is something like a powerful version of the Python list, or an enhanced version of the NumPy array. It is important to note that this isn't to say that series should be the preferred choice between the 3 no matter what, since there's always a trade-off in terms of what you want to obtain from your data versus the speed and precision with which you can do that. However, if in a given situation you have opted for using a series, this will entail working with a larger set of tools and capabilities that are pertinent to the Pandas library only. These tools and capabilities are often related to the fact that the series object stores its values in a sequenced order and has an explicit index. But only as you gain more practice with coding in Pandas will you be able to discover these advantages in depth from a technical perspective. The second takeaway is to remember to always maintain data consistency. If you look at the examples we used in this lecture once again, you will notice that in the different series objects, we either had text values or integer values only, but we never mixed them. Therefore, although it is technically possible to store different types of data in a certain series, ideally, we should try to have data of a single type only. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. In the next one, we'll talk about attributes. See you there.